Hey, what's up guys, it's Roy here. So today I got the Xbotgo Chameleon. Now this is an AI sports cameraman that could potentially revolutionize the way that you record and capture games. So if you're a parent like myself, or a coach, or even a content creator who records sports, like I said, this could change the way that you focus on the game and not focusing on the game through a camera. So let's jump right into it. So as far as the unboxing goes, it's pretty simple. The box is pretty sleek, has the Xbotgo Chameleon branding there. They did win a 2024 Red Dot Winner Award there, which is kind of cool. But the box itself is pretty nice, but now let's show you what comes inside of it. So first you get a nice microfiber cloth bag with cinch strings, a USB-C to USB-C charging cable, user manual, a Bluetooth remote, and the main attraction, the actual unit. This is the Xbotgo Chameleon. It's the lemongrass color, which stands out like a sore thumb. As you can see here, you will not lose this. And that's what it looks like, but pretty small, as you can see. I mean, it's fitting in the palm of my hand. On the front here, we have the AI tracking lens. We do have a power button here, and then 4 dots for LED indicators for the battery. And then up here, this is how you mount your phone on. So as you can see, as I'm twisting it, it's getting tighter and then opening up and widening up. You can pretty much put any phone in here. I've tested a 16 Pro and an S25. Both had cases on and it worked just fine. They do recommend to not leave the case on to help with overheating, especially if you're recording outside. But once again, I don't know if that's a huge necessity. The sides do light up when you turn it on, which I'll show you here in a sec. And then at the bottom, there is a 1/4 thread here, which is kind of nice. So you can pretty much mount it to any tripod as well. And mentioning tripods, this is the bad boy that they sent me. This is their T4 version, which is huge. This thing can go up to about 13, 14 feet in the air. So it's a big boy, heavy duty tripod. So big thank you to them for sending that as well. So before we take a deeper dive into this, I did kind of write down a couple of things that kind of make this stand out. So number one would be the AI powered tracking that this has. So one of the biggest things is the Xbot Vision 2.0 that it has. Can literally try to anticipate the movement of the player. It can track the ball. It says it tracks up to 20 plus sports. When you open the app, and I'll show you here in a minute, I really only noticed about 14 sports, but maybe with more updates, it might show a few more than that. But that would be number one. Now, number two is the jersey number and player tracking. Now, once again, I believe that's more in a beta mode right now, but you can lock onto a player and it can follow them around, which is kind of cool. And then you can do like auto, like highlighting. You can do live streaming if you want. There's no subscriptions or anything like that, because you even get 20 gigs of cloud storage with all of your stuff. So that's kind of cool that you don't need a subscription for any of that. So that's a big, thumbs up as well. And then of course, just all the app integration and everything you can do with this. It's fairly straightforward, but once again, might be a little bit of a learning curve if you've never used something like this before, which I'm definitely in that category or in that group of who's never used something like this. But after you play around with it for a little bit, definitely doing some trial and error, you catch on fairly quickly. So definitely some good positives in my opinion. So yeah, so when you do your initial setup, one is you need to have this mounted, which since I'm here on my desk and it's just going to be sitting here, I think it'll be fine just to show you a quick tutorial. You need to download the Xbotgo app, which is very simple. If you have an Android or an Apple device, it's on both app stores. First, you need to download this, sign in, create an account, which I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but I feel like it is because I didn't think I could get much further until I did create that. But once I did, it was very simple. So I'm going to show you literally the steps to turn this on and get this going. So step one is the buttons right here. Like I said, on the front, there's the power button. All I'm going to do is push that and turn it on, and it lights up. It's on. Now it is going to tilt real quick, as you can see here, just to kind of let you know it's on. And one thing to point out is that it does light up, like I said. So It does light up here on the sides to let you know that it is on and the Bluetooth is turned on. And I'm already getting a firmware upgrade here. But now that it's turned on, since I've already connected it to this device, as you can see here, it does show that it is connected. Now you can do the same process with the remote, but I'm not really going to use the remote. To be honest with you, I found that doing the monitor with my other smartphone has been much handier, which I will show you right now. But one thing I will point out though is when you do use another phone for the monitor, you can only max record in 1080. So there are different sports that have the capabilities of recording in 4K, but I have found that 1080 seems to be pretty much the default on everything. So it's just something to point out. Granted, you know, if I'm recording my kids' games, I mean, 1080 is going to be plenty. I don't see myself wanting to record in 4K just for the bigger files, and plus it'll make the phone heat up a lot more. But if you are going to use your other phone as a monitor, so for example, I have my S25 here that I was using, you definitely need to have it set up on the same network. So what I did is on my 16 Pro, I had the hotspot turned on. I connected the S25 to that hotspot. Easy peasy, no issues at all. That's what I'm gonna do right now in my room. So I'm gonna select the sport, and as you can see there's some of the ones that I brought up. I'm gonna do the follow me since I'm in my room and I don't have football or basketball or something like that. And then I'm gonna do next, it's gonna say start recording. Now it's gonna give you like just some different things to look at, like giving you some tutorials. You can just skip through those, and then it brings up the interface here. But before I go through all that, I'm actually going to pull up my S25 here. And what I'm going to do is, well, for one, this is what you want to do. So you want the camera portion up, and you're just going to put it there in the middle. They do recommend to take off the case, but honestly, I found that the case on or off doesn't really make a huge difference. But I'm going to put that right there so you can see. But there is, just to show you, this little spot right here that you click and it brings up a QR code. So I'm going to hit the monitor, and that's what it's going to show you here. And right there, I'm going to click that, and it's going to scan that QR code. And there we go. Now it is set up so that way it's mirroring both of these. Now, like I said, I have found that it is much easier to just use the phone versus the Bluetooth remote. I just find that this is just so much easier to look at. Now, one thing that you can do now that you're in the follow me mode is it says that you can do an AOK. And now you can see on the screen, it says now recording or starting to record. My flash lit up. And when you do the OK symbol, it turns it on or off whenever you do the recording. So I accidentally did the AOK and it actually stopped it. Now it's working again. But as you can see, now that I'm moving, it's following me. Now here's a good example of the follow me kind of messing up. Like it just stopped. So I'm not sure. Maybe if I do the AOK, maybe it'll, I don't know. So it's not following me anymore. So I'm going to stop it, try that again. Okay. And there we go. So it is sometimes a little finicky. I have noticed, depending on what I'm using it for, or where I'm using it. So yeah, is what it is. Now, if you have an Apple Watch, you can also like tilt and pan from your phone. So we'll see right there. I did that and it stopped it again. So we're going to leave it at that so we can stop recording. But as you can see though, the follow me is kind of cool, you know, and I even found that maybe that would be a cool feature for someone like myself, who's a content creator who records myself for a lot of the stuff. I'm just like a single recorder type of thing. But I don't have, you know, sometimes I might have my kid record me or something like that, but for the most part I'm by myself. So I could see the benefit of the follow me feature if I'm outside, maybe like doing a review of my Tesla or something like that, then I could see that moving around. And there's some auto zoom features. You can use the audio if you want from it. So that is kind of cool as well. But but obviously it's a sports camera. So I went outside and I actually did some recording with my kids. So I went to a couple of different scenarios. So number one, we tried the soccer feature. So we went to a football field. I set it up in the middle. I went all the way up because it says if you want to do a like full field, it needs to be extended all the way up to like 13 feet or something like that. So that's what I did. I used the monitor from my S25 because once it's that high up in the air, there's no way that you're going to be able to push record. So you definitely need to use the remote or a monitor of another device. And it works pretty good. I will say that some of the things, now granted, there might be some, once again, some updates for software that might help with the smoothness of it. Now I know it's a gimbal type of thing, so it's supposed to be smooth, but when it's panning and it's like zooming and going fast to, like, trying to catch up with one of my kids, there is kind of like a jitter a little bit. Once again, it's not perfect, and I have to remember too that it's so high up in the air. And then I did notice sometimes where my kids, if they like ran all the way down to the end zone type of thing, like where, like, say the soccer goal should be, it followed them there, but then it stopped and then it kind of like fell back a little bit. And then once it picked them back up, then it was fine. It seems to maybe work a little bit better if there's more people, because there's only like 2 or 3 of my kids that were running around. So that was okay. Even when I did something like with my daughter where it was just her, I had her go up, I had her do the A-OK, and then just had her like kind of just dribbling a soccer ball around. She's not by any means a professional soccer player. She actually does softball and dance more than anything. But I just wanted to see how it worked, and it did follow her pretty well, but you can see some of that jitter a little bit. And then I wanted to see through the follow me feature, if one of my sons jumped in that frame, if it would follow him or if it would get confused and, follow him or not, and still follow her. And it did pick her up still, which I actually liked. I thought that was kind of good as well. And then I also went out and we tried to record some baseball because my kids play baseball, and there's no version in the app, at least for now, to do baseball. So I did the follow me feature once again and had it follow them. And depending on where you set it up, it will definitely follow them if they're running the bases. And, when he hit it, it went and did all that. But it's definitely not perfect. To be honest with you, you're almost better off just mounting a phone like behind, the backstop, and then it just sees everything instead of it trying to follow the kids running the bases. I could see where the benefits more when it's a field and it's football, or if it's soccer or volleyball or lacrosse or something like that, where they're running back and forth up a field. I can definitely see that being a much better scenario. Because even when I had them like just throwing a football around a little bit, it really depends on like the sport that they're playing, of the quality that you're getting out of it. But with all that being said, I think the benefits definitely outweigh the cons with this type of device. And then some of the cons that I would say is the initial setup and all that. It could be a little confusing. Like I said, it's not super hard, but I feel like it could have been easier. The remote control I did find a little hard to use, so that's why I switched to using the monitor on my phone instead. Some of the tracking modes are also a little inconsistent. Like I said, I think maybe with future updates things will start to get cleaned up a little bit, but that's just my opinion. Especially follow me, I noticed I just really didn't have the best experience with it. And to be honest with you, I saw a video where a guy walked around it and did a whole 360, and the best I can get out of the follow me was 180. And so literally it would start here and go, and then here and then go. So if I walked behind it, it wouldn't follow me, which I thought was a little weird considering this is a 360 panner that it can do. So I mean, it is what it is. And then the smoothness of it following the players, like I said, was a little off. Once again, maybe with all these firmware updates, that will help. And I'll be happy to report back, maybe like in a short or something like that, to say, hey, it got better or it got worse. I don't know. But I did notice, like I said, just depending on the scenario or how fast someone was running, how smooth it was. I did notice that being a little off, but nothing terrible. So nothing to really complain about. Like I said, it's just my job as reviewing this is to nitpick, and those are my nitpicking things. And I would love to see somehow it working for baseball or softball. That's just me. So I don't know if there's a way. Unfortunately, I try to play around with some of the other sports settings, and it just really didn't work that well. I just really only figured out that follow me was probably the best option. So is what it is, but like I said, I can dream a little bit. So who should buy this? So it really depends on like where you're at as far as like what category, right? So if you're like a parent like myself and you want a hands-free experience, and like I said, you want to watch the actual game as opposed to like staring through your phone, then that's going to be a big plus for you, right? To just kind of set it and forget it, and hope it doesn't stop recording or something like that. But in the most part, like I said, if you're using your phone as a monitor, you just kind of keep an eye on it, you should be good. If you're a coach, well, now I can see a huge benefit for something like this, because now you're recording, even maybe at practice, and you're recording stuff, and you're trying to talk to them about maybe something that they did wrong and how to fix it. And now you have a way to go back and show them footage because it's been following them. And so I think that's kind of cool, especially if maybe there's a key moment at a practice or at a game and you're like, oh man, hey guys, like that play was awesome, and you marked it. Now you're able to go back and show them that. And that was the ability of having that high up in the air, panning around and following their games. And I know I said content creators, so like I said, if you are someone who's going to be recording sports or action type of content, this can also help a lot and be beneficial to get maybe some angles and some footage that might be a little more difficult for yourself to get. And having it up in the air using something like this could be beneficial to capture that moment that might, like I said, be a little hard to get. So that is definitely a plus as well. So all in all, guys, I mean, I would definitely recommend this. I mean, if you are someone who's going to be doing, sports videoing and stuff like that, it's definitely worth a shot. All in all, like I said, it's a really good product. At the end of the day, is it perfect? No, I don't think any of these are going to be perfect, right? Even some of the other brands, but it does what it says it does, right? And I really do feel like, if you're someone that's a basketball player, or you're a volleyball player, or you have kids that play ice hockey or whatever, this could be a really cool added bonus to make that experience that much better at that game, and then going back and rewatching it to relive those memories. So I really do feel like there's some pretty cool pluses with this. So like I said, just go into it knowing that you do need to learn it a little bit more, play with it, learn it, trial and error it. Definitely play around with it before you take it to like a very important game, like a championship or something like that. But at the end of the day, I think it does check a lot of the boxes. So I definitely would recommend it. And I definitely would recommend getting one of the bundles that have the much larger tripod, because it's definitely a necessity if you're trying to cover a whole football or soccer field type of thing. So hit that like button if you liked the video. If you loved it, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So be safe, God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.